And we are live. So, you may think I'm a day late and a dollar short on the Nintendo Live. But here's the thing. I watched it and rewatched it because I made some comments on my live stream yesterday. Also, speaking of live streaming, I know this is not what I said I would do in the morning, but I actually took my prescription today. So, I took my Adderall. Actually, I don't take it if I don't need it. But on the days that I've realized I'm like, I'm getting too distractible today, I say, I will take my prescription. And I went ahead and did today. So that's why we're going ham. Today's streaming is essentially going to be the way I do my hobbies with no moderation. So we're going to start with this short stream and we're going to talk about Nintendo Direct from yesterday. I'm also having my lunch. Now, am I a day late? Yes. Am I a dollar short? No, I'm going to be hundreds of dollars short. And the reason I titled this video what I titled it, it's not clickbait. Nintendo is coming for my throat. I am convinced that Nintendo is coming for my throat. They're coming for my wallet. They're coming for my credit score this season. They just said, hey, you thought you were buying 2 games this year? Ha 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 ha. You thought wrong, because we're going to make it. So all these games, multiples of them, look so attractive that I hope you didn't have any other plans with your money. So now, I didn't like everything, but let me lower the volume here. There were a couple of games. Multiples. And multiples is a problem. Because if you buy video games for any console, you're talking $40 to $60 per game. And when I started watching, I listened to the Direct because I was driving. And once I arrived at my brother's house yesterday, we watched it because he didn't remember that Nintendo Live was yesterday, so he hadn't watched it. So we watched it. So when I heard it, I was like, ooh, there's a couple of things that sound interesting just from listening to it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, Nintendo coming for my money. I am just having some ramen, not sponsored. But it's Maruchan and it's one of my favorites. My second favorite. My favorite is Nissan Spicy Chicken. I'm not a Nintendo I'm not a Nintendo person. I am a Nintendo person. Otherwise, it wouldn't be coming from my throat. I'm not a Pokemon person. So, I don't know how the animations would actually look in the game, because I find that they do these videos and these cutscenes look so much better than what the game actually looks like when you're playing it. But I think that has more to do with the fact that the Nintendo Switch console isn't, high res. What if we do a whole giant jump and the next Switch is 4K? That'd be interesting. Because by the time in this day and age, so many people already have 4K TVs and screens. They would actually be kind of great if Nintendo came out with the next Switch is a version that has the processing power and video power for 4K, and we just get to see all of these games in their ultimate resolution. Okay, is there any way actually that I can... Oh, I can make the speed go faster. There we go. Let's speed it up a little bit. Seem to be. I love how they talk like they're trying to be coy about the information that they're giving. So, I used to like Sonic back in the day, like Super Mario Sonic. Like, not Super Mario, Super Nintendo. But I never really liked it ever since then. And it may be just because I've gotten worse at gameplay. Because I don't think, or maybe it's just my memory sucks. I do have a brain injury, so it might be that I'm remembering it a lot more fondly than I actually enjoyed it in the moment. Plus, nostalgia be doing things to you. It makes you think that things are just better, or were better, than you actually remember. Case in point, Super Mario 64. I tried it again and I was like, huh. This was great when it first came out, but now it's kind of like, But I'm contemplating that Sonic game. I'm like 40% thinking about trying it. I thought about this, but I feel like this might be something that's just more enjoyable in VR than on a flat screen. Like a good quality VR. But it is free to play, so I might play it. I wonder how they're going to make their money off of it. What are they going to sell? Not interested in this. Let's speed it up a little bit more because these things I'm not interested in. They're not really getting my money from this. Except for maybe Sonic, and I probably wait until I can get it used at GameStop. I do like the music though. Okay, and this is where it starts. This is where it starts, where they get me. Nostalgia. Nostalgia, nostalgia, nostalgia. Because this is actually from back in my day. Like, Saturday morning cartoons. Back in the day, before, like, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and all these other cartoon channels, you had cartoons from, like, 3 to 5 p.m., like kids shows like 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then you had Saturday morning cartoons. You didn't get Saturday and Sunday, you only got Saturday. And this is very nostalgic of what games would look like. I mean, cartoons would look like back then. So this Myth Force thing has kind of got me by the purse strings. There is a 70% chance that I buy that game. Because nostalgia is a hell of a drug. I've never been into Splatoon. I've never really played it. Vanilla. Out of those three, vanilla. I do like that it seems like a lot of games are moving towards like multiplayer and being able to play with friends. And then here, I talked about this in last night's stream. I love how ridiculous it feels. Pikachu's voice. Pikachu's voice sounds comically ridiculous and I love it. I know this is the kind of voice that he's always had for Detective Pikachu, but I just feel like before this, all you ever had was Pikachu! Pikapi! And then you have this voice. It's fitting because it's perfect. It's just so funny and I love it, but I would have never expected that to be his voice. That's how I feel, Pikachu. I agree. What kind of monsters don't like coffee? I stand by what I said. Is this one of the one that's got me by the purse strings? Actually, no, but my brother did say he wants to buy this. So I think I will play it, but I won't purchase it. So this season coming up, it's got my whole family not my whole family. Me, my younger brother, and my eldest brother got us by the purse strings. And my niece and my nephew. Because my niece is 22, so she buys, her own stuff. She pays for her own. The Nintendo be getting us multi-generational, be taking our money. I mean, it does look interesting, but I'm not sold enough on it to want to buy it. But I will definitely borrow it from my brother. Yeah, the graphics look pretty great. At least in this video. We'll see what it looks like when it actually comes out. Look at them being little teases. It looks like Paper Peach. She turned into Cinderella. We have Luigi's Mansion. None of us ever played it all the way through. Poor green Mario. I had this thought when I was watching this with my brother. Why does it feel like there's so many criminals in Gotham? 'Cause it feels like other superheroes live in cities that have like a major villain and like a couple of henchmen of those major villains, but Gotham just seems to have so many criminals. Like, is it just me? Because it just seems like almost everybody's a criminal in Gotham. I mean, technically, if you're going by the letter of the law, Batman's kind of a criminal too, but yeah, Gotham is like, yeah. Hey, PB, how are you doing today? Good noon? I am over here talking about how Nintendo is coming for my wallet. They're coming for my throat. They're coming for my wallet. Coming for my credit score. Not interested in Just Dance. I mean, I don't know, because it just seems like, yeah, he may be their enemy because he's like the one trying to put them in jail, but they were criminals without Batman. Like, Gotham is just, because Gotham is just like, from what I can, like, I'm thinking about all the cities where most of, like, all all the places where superheroes are. And Gotham just seems to be like the one where almost so many random average Joes are just criminals. Like when you think of so many other superheroes, there are villains. And the villains may have like 2, 3, or 4 henchmen that work for them. But like the level of lawlessness in Gotham is just like, what did they do? Just like take a whole bunch of criminals, put them in a boat, and just send them off into this island and be like, well, we're not going to kill you, but good luck. This one, I've been thinking about it. I went from being like a 30% chance. It's like Princess Zelda, encased in her own tears. Why did the king steal Link's words? I think I will buy this. This one looks kind of adorable, but I'm not. I don't know. I lived in New York for 11 years, and I don't think it was Gotham level bad. Granted, I haven't been to New York in a long time. I lived in New York from 92 to 2004. And it wasn't like that. But it has been a really long time since then. 30 years. 20 years. God, I just made myself so much older. It's been 20 years since I lived in New York. So, things may be worse than they were when I lived there. And this one is also coming from my wallet. Not for myself, but because I know Sweet Child's gonna like this. He was like, but every time it says like pesky UFOs, he's just like laughing so much, and I'm pretty sure he's really gonna like this game. Oh, they're terrible. I mean, you know what? Actually, PB, I take back what I said about it not being that bad, because they did pass that. Is that a law? Is it in law, or is it just where you can steal up to what, $950 and not have the cops called on you or go to jail? This just looks like Pokemon reimagined. We were laughing about it. It's like, so it's like Pokemon slightly different. It's Pokedigimon. But yeah, also I had forgotten that about New York, that now there's like, if you steal, I think it's either under $900 or under $950, like they don't even call the cops on you. Like you're allowed to do that. And I'm like, that is so dumb. Like who thinks that's a good idea? No, I think they're both doing it. And I mean, you know, they're both dumpster fires. And I think people don't realize that that's not going to minimize crime or minimize people unjustly going to jail, because all that's going to do is make it worse for people that do the right thing. Because who's going to have to pay for that loss? The people that actually pay. And then this, I already bought this. This is pre-ordered. They already got my money for this. And actually, this goes back to what I was saying about Pikmin, where I felt like, oh, I feel like this is Earth. And they're just so tiny that we can't see them. And they landed somewhere where they just haven't run into humans. And then all of a sudden, in this one, you see so much more human infrastructure that it really just feels like meant to be Kismet. I mean, I know some of the technology for Pikmin, the stuff that you add to your spacecraft, is obviously human technology. But this, and there's paths, and you could tell that there's like, that it looks like human stuff. But to this level where you're at a human house is like different level of confirmation that they actually landed on an Earth-like planet. But yeah, I find that the farther we move away from meritocracy and trying to not hurt people's feelings, so we got to do like the participation trophy, it's like the more we deteriorate and the more you get this generation that wants to like get something for nothing. Like everybody should have a minimum of this or a minimum of that. And I'm like, not for free. Like if you're going to get help, it should be in exchange for something. It shouldn't just be like, oh, you're getting help, you're getting some sort of assistance, and it's just because you exist. I'm so excited for this game. But you know who I feel really bad for? Small businesses. Like people don't realize that this is gonna hurt. Those types of like regulations and laws, they're not hurting big companies like the Walmarts and the Targets and the Rite Aids of America. It's hurting the small mom and pop shops. I want this. I want to do the Pikmin 1 and 2, but I don't know if I should get it right now. Because I probably should finish streaming Pikmin 3 before I spend money getting Pikmin 1 and 2. Because since I've never played Pikmin 1 and 2, I would really like to do it on stream and we could all just like enjoy my reactions and my struggles. I'm not into these kinds of games. NES. Wow, when I see the quality, when I get reminded of the quality of games long ago when I was a youth, it's kind of just like, that's crazy. And we thought it was so great. And now you look at it, you're like, that's kind of trash. Yeah, this looks old timey. But again, like this would be something that I could see a lot of people grabbing because nostalgia. Because it's got kind of like this nostalgic old timey feel to it. This feels like a game from like the 80s or early 90s. They were state of the art at that time, but now when you look back at them, it's like, what is this? Okay, when it comes to something like this, to a certain degree, I feel like we're running out of ideas. But then in execution, I'm like, this looks ridiculously dumb. Like, it looks ridiculous, utterly ridiculous, but I'm kind of vibing with it. Yeah. Yeah, they are getting really close to lifelike in a lot of things. And once they get to a higher level of VR technology, it's going to be. I think we're eventually going to get to the level of what you see in like manga and manhwa, which are comic books from Southeast Asia. And a lot of them have the basis of being like you're in a VR game, but they're like fully body. They So the comics will have a lot of them will have the foundation of it being kind of like this full body immersive VR, where it's like either a full helmet and like gloves, or like a full body pod. And while you're in the game, it's like it's a reality that you're living, like not something where you could tell this is a game, but something where you got to remind yourself I'm in a game. And it may eventually get to that point. I think we're heading in that direction when you look at like the Apple VR AR goggles that they're kind of demoing. This one's interesting. This feels like an old new game. Well, as a company, what they're striving for is total immersion, so that like your life focuses so much on them. Yeah, but I mean, that's what the companies want, because the more you're wrapped up in the game, the more you identify with it, the more you bring it out of the screen, the more of a kind of parasocial relationship you develop with the company and the storyline and the game. And the less that you can separate game from reality, the more they have your money. Okay, this one was another one where I like... Yeah, I mean, I constantly feel like we're moving towards things similar to like WALL-E and all these other movies, like even Ready Player One, and things that really talk about a world where we don't human in person so much anymore. Or we like don't even look at each other, have conversations, birth or raise our own kids. And actually, there was something that I gotta try to download and figure out how to get this video into my computer so I could talk about this. It's this little robot that I randomly came across on Amazon, and it's like $1,500, and it's literally a robot, kind of adorable humanoid shape, and its purpose is to help teach your kids how to talk. So it's a conversation robot for your kids, which in essence is basically taking away one of your jobs as a parent. And it's like ChatGPT AI powered. And ChatGPT is a learning AI that has become very popular. And I saw it, and I saw it from two perspectives. I saw it as, oh, that's cute because it's a really cute robot. But then I also saw it from, ooh, I have been loving Tears of the Kingdom. I want Zelda. I don't want Ganondorf. I definitely want Zelda, though. Not really looking forward to Ganondorf. I have the other Ganondorf amiibo, but I didn't even bring him upstairs. I dislike him that much. And then this. This is going to get my money. This is going to get my time. This is going to get my live stream when it comes out. This is... It looks beautiful. It looks fun. It's got a lot of nostalgic aspects to it. And it's got some interesting areas. And actually, when it came to like this part, I was like, what just happened? And Sweet Child just randomly goes like, I think he had too many mushrooms. It's kind of sad that you actually can make that joke and understand it. But, you know, unfortunately, they are teaching our kids way too many stuff they shouldn't be learning in school way before it's their time. Because honestly, the first Dare style thing that Sweet Child got, he was literally in kindergarten. They didn't send notification to the parents either. I found out because I was student teaching at the school at that time, and I didn't even find out in advance. Like my main teacher didn't know. I was in a different kindergarten class, not my own child's. They don't put you in your own child's class, and the teacher comes. She's like, "Oh yeah, they told us there's an assembly today." And we gather our kids, and we take them, organize them in the auditorium, and we're waiting. And then all of a sudden, this guy starts, "Oh, he was sleeping. You didn't have to kick him like that." But anyways, we sit down with our kids, and then this guy starts talking, and it's like a drug talk. And I'm like, my kids are 5. And then I was like, wait, my own child is getting this, and I didn't get any notification about this. I didn't give permission for this. And like the fact that even my main teacher was surprised, she was like, they didn't tell me what they were doing. They just said there was an assembly, is just ridiculous. So even though it was kind of funny that he made that comment, and it was fitting and it was funny, it's still honestly a tragedy to me that my basically 12-year-old could make that joke and understand it. And not because we have that kind of environment in our home, but because he's literally been introduced to that type of content at school without me even being asked, informed, given any kind of notice to like exclude him, to like take him out for a period, to keep him home that day. I didn't get any options. And honestly, none of my fellow teachers got any options either, because we had been there the day before. There was no announcement about it. We show up that day. My teacher didn't even know either, because at one point when this guy is talking, like the stories he was telling were entirely too inappropriate for 5-year-olds. And I inch over to my main classroom teacher, and I just whisper, because I don't want the kids to notice. I'm like, what is this? And she just looks at me and says, I don't know. They didn't tell me. They didn't tell me what this was about. They just said that it was an assembly. And I'm like, because this is not appropriate for our kids. She's like, I know. And then I'm like, are they doing this for the entire school? For all of the kindergarten classes? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, so I have to go diffuse this bomb when I get home to my kindergartner. I have to go have a talk with my 5-year-old that I did not approve of and I don't think was age appropriate, because the school didn't even give us an option to opt out, didn't even let us know that it was happening. They're just like, surprise, let's have a drug talk that's entirely too graphic. It was an elementary school. It was probably too graphic for even our 5th graders, let alone every other grade. And it was just like, it was one of those moments where I was like, hi, I wonder if I can afford to homeschool, because it's just like ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, whatever title we want to give it, or category, or the point is that these are things that should be talked to the parents about. And not only that, but I genuinely believe, and it is my firm belief, that if parents want to opt their children out of that type of content, the school should make it possible for the kids whose parents opted out to be placed somewhere else while that assembly is going on, because the assembly was only like 35-40 minutes. The kids that the parents opted out should be removed from that environment. I mean, it's terrible anyways, because the kids are going to talk to each other about it anyway. So it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe getting rid of public education, or as we say in the Army, folder 13, the current standard and curriculum and restart it from scratch, because I find that utterly ridiculous that you're going to have that type of assembly for kids K through 5. If you want to do it for the 5th graders, by this time, 6th grade had already moved to junior high. So junior high became 6th, 7th, and 8th. If you want to tell the 5th graders, because they're getting ready to go into a new environment, getting ready to go into middle school where it's going to be older kids, and they're, going to go through that in their prepubescent and pubescent phase, beginning of their pubescent phase, I can understand it a little bit more. However, why K through 4 need to hear that is just utterly ridiculous. It doesn't compute to me. It does not compute at all in the slightest. And on top of that, the fact that they didn't even give parents the opportunity to even know that this was coming. We were all blindsided. Like, even the staff, even the teachers were blindsided by this. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy that they want to spout freedom of religion when there's groups advocating to the Supreme Court of a state like Pennsylvania, which this actually did happen, to allow a Satanist after school club. Meanwhile, if a teacher gets caught praying while, let's say, she's on break or on her lunch period, she can get fired. He or she, they can get fired. And I'm like, wait a minute, how is this freedom of religion? You could have a Satanist after school club, but a teacher can't be caught praying? I have questions. I don't know. Because the thing is, I was in there the entire day. I opened the classroom with her. I picked up the kids. Actually, by the time that this happened, I had ended my semester, and I didn't enroll for the next semester because I wanted to stay with her full time and help her. Unfortunately, our school districts have moved away from having a teacher and an assistant teacher in every single classroom, which is how things used to be like when I was that age. There was always 2 teachers in the classroom, always. And they've moved away from that. So with how I saw everything going, I opted to just stay with her even as my semester ended. So by the time that assembly happened, I was there when school opened, and I stayed until I left when the kids were getting dismissed, because I would literally pick up my son from inside. We would meet at the dismissal area and walk out together to the car. There might have been some that heard rumors. That's possible. It's possible. But my teacher wasn't the only one who seemed to have genuine surprise. Oh no! The notifications failed you. I was going through the Nintendo Direct and talking about how Nintendo is coming for my throat, my pocket, and the credit score. They just want everything. I would say there was 5 or 6 games that I'm like, ooh. There's a couple that I'm like, more than likely. But yeah, teachers' unions. My issue with teachers' unions, and I understand it's a teachers' union, so they're there for the sake of the teacher, but who's there for the sake of the students? Which, kids are our future. So, and then there's a lot of issues that I have with the school system in general. As I don't understand why they did away with life skills class and home economics types classes, because now we're having multiple generations of kids coming out now with information that they didn't retain because they're literally learning for the test, so they're not retaining the information, they're not actually learning it, and then they're going out into the world, they're going out into college, and you're just looking at them like, you're not prepared to adult, you're not prepared to life. How are we going to keep the world running 20 to 30 years down the line? And when we're not teaching useful skills, for helping kids to have like a better life as adults. Like, what are we doing? We're sabotaging ourselves. Yeah, too many people are more concerned with money than what they're actually supposed to represent. And here's one of the things that I recently, I don't remember who I was talking to, but, and it might have been on stream. What I was saying, you can't get mad at people, at younger people, when they act as a reflection of the way that you raised them. Like, you raised them selfish, with a lack of sympathy, with a lack of empathy, with participation trophies, and they grow into adults that are entitled, that you run into in your everyday, and you're just like, oh my god, oh, young people these days and blah blah blah. And it's like, but you raised them that way. You either did it directly or you allowed it to be done to them by not putting your foot down when places like the public schools were teaching things they shouldn't be doing, and were pulling classes that they shouldn't be pulling off of the curriculum. So, like, you either directly participated or by negligence participated in creating these people that you are now complaining about. Actions have reactions. So now you hear people talking, older people like my generation and older, so like 30s, 40s, 50s, talking about how young kids these days don't know how to do anything. And it's like, because we didn't teach them. It's like this thing that happens in the army a lot, and I always thought it was the weirdest thing ever. And I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? So you go into the army, basic training, AIT, they break you down to turn you into an ideal follower. As a soldier, you have to be a follower of your leadership. But then once you get to your duty station, at a certain random point, with no rhyme or reason, they just expect you to be a leader. And it's like, hold on, you just spent all these months and all this time and all these years of when you're a private, a PV2, a private first class, being trained, taught, and managed like a child. And then suddenly you want me to turn leadership on? That's nonsensical. I also think that's problematic. I think that's problematic, PB. I'm actually going to end this stream because this is multi-platform, and I'm going to pop into a Just Rumble stream and follow this line of ranting, because I also have rants to do with this line of conversation that we're having. So give me about 3 minutes to end this stream and start a Rumble rant exclusively on Rumble, rumble.com/Natalia Ines. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to me talking about why Nintendo is trying to make me go for broke like we're at the casino. I don't recommend it for y'all. And also, I'm being facetious. I'm not going to do anything that I can't afford. I manage my budget, and anything that I will buy, I think about it many, many times, and I budget it to make sure that all my bills and or debts are taken care of, and everything that my child needs is taken care of before I dive into buying any of these things. So I am kind of just being facetious and joking about Nintendo coming for my throat and my wallet and the credit score. Because again, what games I buy, I always make sure I can afford it on cash, money in my account, not credit. If I can't afford it cash, we ain't playing those games. So, I will definitely buy Super Mario Wonder. There's a possibility that I buy Pikmin 1 and 2, depending on how quickly I run through Pikmin 3 on the live stream. And Myth Force kind of does have me by the throat because it is nostalgic. But that one's an iffy maybe. know that there are ways that you can end like a multi-stream. You can end some parts of the stream, but I don't know if that's program specific to like some programs let you do it and some don't. So I've actually never figured out how to end the stream on some platforms and not others. But it's going to be better if I just end it and create a new one, because I'll be able to alter the title to just being a Rumble rant and not about Nintendo. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one and start a new one just on Rumble. I will return shortly. Again,